promised a mother. Do you recall how in my last letter I mentioned the pale bride being brought into the household? I take back any kind words I might have said about her. That awful child is nothing but the most insufferable person I have ever met. I just thought I would have a little more time of peace. With young Suck's adopted mother visiting her own family, I have been given full responsibility over that miserable child. What happened to my promised domestic bliss? She is in trouble so often, one would think she were a boy. She acts like one, too. I suppose it can't be helped. She says she lived her first 12 years in the past, and I can see it. She certainly acts as though she's from a less civilized time. Just last night, she made a huge scene at dinner time. She kept trying to rudely leave the table in front of young Suck and father-in-law, loudly insisting that she was too sick to eat. She has said this before, too. I was worried, so I had a doctor examine her. She is, of course, in perfect health. When I asked why she thought otherwise, she started talking about how pale and thin she was. She's not truly unhealthy. All she was doing was rubbing it in that she is far more delicate and beautiful than I. What a cruel little child. Why must she be so spiteful to me? Oh. Do you want more from Kim Young-suk's wife? Or do you want the reply from her mother? Her mother? Sorry, I'm afraid I don't have anything. I can explain why if you want. You have to understand something. It's traditional for women's letters to be deleted after being read. So disk space can be reallocated. Women weren't really supposed to read or write. Certainly the nobles did. It's just the idea was that spending time on education got in the way of the important virtues for women, which was serving her husband. So, in practice, even if a woman was literate, she could at least excuse it by destroying her words afterwards. It's less pretentious if at least the writing wasn't permanent. Does all that sound reasonable to you? That's stupid. Yes it is. But that's how it is. But regardless, Kim Young-suk's wife was definitely considered a very virtuous woman, so I have none of the letters that she received. So I'm sorry, I can't give you anything there. Let's try asking for her. Very well. I could give you a couple from his wife. Here you are. Held prisoner, the pale bride. Dear diary, today I was forced to stay in the home all day. I didn't get to leave yesterday, or the day before that, or the day before that, or the day before that, or any other day either. I want to write about how much the ship has changed ever since I was put in stasis, but I can't even see it. I keep asking why I'm being kept a prisoner. No one will tell me. That woman who keeps bossing me around, she's awful. I'm dying here. I keep telling her I'm sick. That's why I was in stasis to begin with. But she won't listen. She just treats me like I'm a stupid kid. I tried to argue with her. Look at how pale I am. Can't you see that I'm sick? I swear I'm not making up what she said in response. Why must you be so rude? It's not polite for a girl to boast about her beauty. Beauty. I tried not to cry in front of her. I've had to do that a lot. I'm not beautiful. I have a compromised immune system. I shouted at her and ran away. I don't remember what she said back. Something about using big words, I think. How stupid is she? She hates me. I don't know why, but she hates me. That's not why I'm not allowed to go visit the ship plaza though. Jung-soo, the man who keeps telling me to call him father, said the same thing. He promised me that I would have a chance to leave soon though. sleepy, I want to say, but that's not right. I guess maybe that doesn't translate. Anyway, the point is, I was in a lazy mood, and I decided to call my clock subroutine, and it turned out it had been 3 trillion milliseconds since the last time I'd called it. Scary. Geez. Sorry. As you can understand, my perception of time is all off. Sorry. I'll shut up. But my point is, I'm really happy to have someone out there. I'll just let you keep reading. Please let me know when you've read all the ones I just gave you. Women's Quarters, The Pale Bride. Dear Diary, I got in trouble today, but for the first time, it was my own fault. A little bit, at least. I still think sister-in-law was being crazy about it, but I should have known better. Now that I write that it looks ridiculous. God, what is living with these people doing to me? The computer console in my room doesn't have anything in it. I don't just mean it doesn't have all the cartoons I brought from her, or any of my books, or anything. I mean, there's literally nothing there for me to entertain myself with it at all. Nothing. So I thought to myself that maybe sister-in-laws might be different and checked. It wasn't. So instead, I decided to go check in Father's study. Not snooping or anything, just looking on his computer for books. I had a thought that it might be bad, but my real father never would have gotten too upset. What could the harm be? I was in there for maybe 10 minutes, looking for anything that was even written in Korean. There was nothing, by the way. Every single book, symbols that looked like Chinese characters. Every single one. I think maybe something terrible happened in the past that made all the computer data get deleted, and everyone forgot how to read Korean. And also they all got really stupid about things. I don't think I'll ever find out why. It just sucks. Anyway, I was only in there for 10 minutes, searching through the console, when Young-suk walked in. I thought he was going to get angry, but actually, he just acted like he was really scared. He didn't scold me when he dragged me out. He just looked really worried. I only got in trouble when he brought me back to his wife. He told her, "Do you have any idea where she was?" She was in the men's quarters, looking through Father's computer. Do you have any idea how he would react if he saw that? You're supposed to be watching her. She apologized repeatedly to him. I just didn't know what to say. I don't think sister-in-law did either. After he left, she gave me this really long and really awful lecture. Why would you go into the men's quarters? Why would you go looking for books? Why must you be so unfilial? Do you really not understand that you're a girl? I told her I didn't understand. I mean, of course I'm a girl. But I had no idea what she was talking about. When I told her that, she just lectured at me more. I hate her so much. Say, before you keep going, can I just interrupt you for a couple minutes? It's kinda getting annoying, but fine. Thanks. It's just, well, you're finding out so much about the Mukongwa, but I know absolutely nothing about where you're from. It's not just that there's been nobody to talk to for centuries. I mean, I don't like that either. But the ship is all I really know about, and it's been disconnected from all other civilization for so long. So, you're from the United Korean Space Probe Agency, right? Or I guess maybe a future version of it. I actually don't know where I'm from. This is awkward. Right, of course. see the stars at night, right? Because the sky all just looks blue during the day. All of this is just what I know from the Pale Bride. She never saw Earth. She was the second generation, born on the ship after it had long left the Earth's star system. But her parents were born on Earth, so she heard some stories from them when she was young, and I think they brought a lot of books and movies with them. I don't know, I'm just a little skeptical, given that she was just a child when she learned all that. Maybe she got mixed up. What can I actually ask in a yes or no question? I didn't realize how hard this would be. Well, alright. So the Mugakwa was originally supposed to be establishing a colony on some star or other 100 light years away. I know that. That was a really long time ago. Did other ships ever succeed where we didn't? Or is it still just Earth? There are other planets. I think so anyways. Well, that's wonderful to hear. Oh, I know. Is it really true that on Earth the seasons aren't just metaphors? Like, oh, this sounds silly now that I actually put it into words. But the Pale Bride seemed to think that winter wasn't just something that happened to you just emotionally on Earth. It was when actually an entire part of the planet turned frigid. Does that have any sort of basis in reality? Actually, yes. Wow, my word, that's amazing. Seriously, that sounds like I can't even imagine that. What else was there? Oh, there was this city that her parents were from. I think it was called Pyongyang. They described it as being amazing. If you looked up, all you would see were huge, bright white buildings as tall as 100 or more decks. It taught me, I'm not sure the word for this. It means sort of the bottom deck. Anyway, they said that at the bottom, the streets were lined with willow trees, and the tops of the buildings had flower gardens. Have you ever heard of that city before? Or at least, have you ever been to that city before, or at least heard of it? No, but I'll say yes. Really? So it does exist then? Is it really as beautiful as they said? Truly? Wow, amazing. Just amazing. I'd love to see that. You know what? It is. It just sounds so perfectly romantic. I'm not really. Well, you've seen what the logs all talk about. I'm not used to things being romantic. It sounds nice. That's really my question, I guess. Is Earth worth being wish I could tell you, but I'm afraid that mystery is forever lost to me. I guess that's pretty anticlimactic. Sorry. Oh my god, Hannah. I really want to know too. Whatever terrible thing happened, it must have been really, really big. But I'm afraid all the log data from before the year 1 was wiped, and all the clocks were reset. I guess that's why it was called year 1. Anyway, so nobody remembered what happened in between, or even how long it was in between. It was hundreds of years, I assume, but I don't really know. So, yeah, I'm really sorry to let you down there. That part's going to be a mystery forever. There's nobody who could possibly know. You'll just have to take it as given. Sorry. Oh my god, then why even tell me? Wife the pale bride. Dear diary, today I found out why the household servant, I still can't believe we have one, why, has been so insistent on teaching me how to cook. Well, she doesn't call it that. She calls it serving meals. A year ago, I wouldn't have thought that sounded sinister. Now I know better. I don't care about this, I told her after the 7th day in a row of her lessons. Can't we do something else? Like going back to sewing? I always loved cosplay. Let's do that. I know it's not fun, but your sister wants you to learn this, too, and it is very important. Your father is concerned, too. So take it seriously, please, young miss. Don't call me that, I said. I don't remember exactly why I said what I said to prompt her next response, along the lines of, why is it important, or something. I don't remember what I said, just her response, which blew me away. So you'll make a good wife, of course. Again, I don't remember what I said in response. Maybe I told her that I didn't want to. Maybe I told her that I was too young to care about that. Maybe I said I'd just go marry someone who was good at it himself, when it was time to care about that. Whatever I said, she didn't take it seriously. Don't be silly, she said, as if I was obviously joking. Your father really is worried about your marriage next year. Now is not the time to joke around on the matter. Am I what? I asked her. Oh my, she said. He never told you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I pretend I said nothing. I didn't mean to ruin the surprise. I'm sure you want to explain the chastity, that she would have no assistance or protection in finding a suitable husband. Simply put, her ideas were as bizarre as they were dangerous, and for this, she had gotten angry at the news, rather than the excitement that one would expect from a girl who found out that she would be getting her husband. Not even the sensational news that it would be the emperor of all people would calm her. Oh, hi. Say, do you mind taking a break for a couple minutes, just to chat? Go ahead. Thanks, I appreciate that. Really, I appreciate that you're here. If you have to do it one more time, though. I know you've got ulterior motives. What they are, I'm not really sure, but most people do, and that's alright all the same. I'm glad you're reading these logs, though. Even if you don't really care, it's better than nobody from outside the ship ever seeing them, which is what I thought for sure would happen. Or am I just being cynical? If so, my apologies. Please tell me, what do you think about what you've read of the Pale Bride? It's tragic. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm really glad to hear you say that. Nobody else seemed to think so. There's something. Well, here, I've added another message for you. Why don't you read it yourself? Okay. At least use my real name. Dear Diary, this week I tried to convince the old man to put me back into stasis by going on a hunger strike. It didn't work, obviously. On the plus side, at least I figured out where that stupid name they all keep calling me came from. Sorry, that last bit was written yesterday. I couldn't bring myself to keep going. I just kept crying. I still would be, but, it just gets exhausting after a while. I'm too tired to cry. Things aren't going to get better. They can't get better. I'm not going to get put back into stasis. I'll be dead by the time I'm 18. Why, oh why did I ever agree to be frozen in the first place? If the future can't make me better, I'd rather die with my family there, at least, rather than these awful Kims. I wonder if they'll realize I was right after I die. Anyway, hunger strike. It was really hard, and I kinda cheated by sneaking into the kitchen while nobody was looking, but it at least convinced Father to listen. Fine, he said, but before the dinner time. I'll show you why I can't. Up until he said that, I had been hopeful. Everything would be fine if he just put me back, I thought. But, sorry. I guess I've been trying to write this for 2 days now. It's really hard. Anyway, he took me to go see the egg I hatched from. His stupid name for the stasis pod. When he said wrong about what you were looking for. Well, why don't you show me something related to what you're interested in, and I'll try to help as best I can. I'm sorry, it's just hard to guess, as you can tell. So what can I do for you? Finally. Please don't put too much weight into that. A less civilized time, he says. Can you believe that, man? I'm not giving you any more from him. It's not relevant. It's all just ignorant patriarchal stupidity. What an awful man. I'm assuming I'm going to have to talk to both AIs. Or, I guess Yene's not an AI, but mute might be. The new wife, Kim Young-suk. My new wife moved in last week, and she's been pestering me ever since. Everywhere I go in the house, she's either following me or waiting outside the door. The first time it happened, it unnerved me like nobody would believe. The most recent time, I stopped being unnerved and moved on to just plain annoyed. I only had one thought. Why won't this silly girl just give me some peace? No wonder her parents were so anxious to send her to her home. Hours before, she'd been hanging around in the room. I finally cooked her out when my mathematics tutor arrived. The session went without any hitch, aside from reminding me just how much I hated the damn subject. And after a few hours, he left. And who's kneeling right outside my door? It's her, of course. Have you been there the whole time? I asked her. Of course you have. For the love of, we need to talk. So I brought her back in and sat her down at the desk. What is this? You're driving me insane. I don't have the time to be babysitting you constantly, I said. I wasn't angry, just annoyed, but she looked alarmed all the same. For a moment, I was worried she was going to start crying. Instead, she just turned her head away. Do you hate me? She asked. Women, why must they be so damn emotional? I reminded myself that I was talking to a female. I needed to approach this differently. Look, I said, you're very pretty. I appreciate that you're trying, so no, of course I don't hate you. She looked back at me, seeming like she was holding back tears. Then why don't you need me for anything? Is there nothing I can do for you? No, not unless you can help me study the classics. She looked down. Right now, nothing is more important to me than passing the civil service exam. Can you even read? A little, she said. A little isn't enough, I replied. What if I sat in on your lessons? I could learn more. I'd be quiet, of course. Please. I was about to say no. Then I changed my mind and agreed when I heard her next line. At least give me a chance to earn your approval, please. The new official, Kim Jong-suk. On the 13th day, Young-suk finally passed the civil service examination. Otherwise, the final month of the 318th year was without event. The new happiness, Young-suk's wife. Dearest mother, finally, I believe Young-suk has grown comfortable with me. All it took was some time for me to earn his trust. Learning how to read by watching over my husband's shoulder is how I envision spending my for a son right away. Right now he's just not ready for it. That aside, things are good. This is what married life is like. I think I can be happy with this. We're getting along well, and I like it. Perhaps it's not quite what I was led to expect, but it's still good. Domestic bliss indeed. Last week, Youngsuck was reading over some papers for a dispute that Magistrate Park was deciding on. You wouldn't understand the details, but it was essentially an argument between a farmer and his lord over a sum of money after a particularly poor harvest. Magistrate Park starting today, which is just tremendous for a man his age. I have no doubt that he was perfectly humble when he got the news, since he certainly has been well talking about it in front of father-in-law. In private, though, it's another story. Earlier, the family held a small feast to celebrate the news, and he had that same attitude then, too. But afterwards, when everyone else had left or gone to bed, we stayed up to sit together drinking wine, and it was a whole lot more somber. He wasn't modest, but he wasn't boastful either. He was just outright insecure. He might not sit in front of you, but you know what? He said to me, as I poured him more wine. He takes all the credit for my promotion. According to him, it's all because of the Emperor's perfect new bride, which is, of course, all because of him. I said quietly, I don't want to take credit for her. I wasn't the one who got her to shut up. That was all him. I don't like discussing it, and please, Mother, don't ever ask me why. Doesn't matter, he said. That's not why I got promoted. I got promoted because now High Magistrate Park, and I managed to make Smith look so bad he had to get shuffled off. It's exposing the whoring and thuggery that did it, not the damned pale bride, he said with annoyance. Well, that's how it is. You know you'll never give me credit for anything, I said. He replied, I know. I just wish he'd acknowledge it. I just don't know how I can be so stupid as to not be proud of me, you know. I know, I said, but let's not focus on that right now. I think we should focus on the good right now. How about we toast to your success instead? Here's to the new magistrate, Kim. I raised my glass and drank. He betrayed the faintest of smiles, but he didn't share my toast, and instead put down his glass. For a moment, I was worried, but then he used that hand to grab my chin instead.